Polynikes here with an Infinity Battle report for you. Actually, tournament report. I have 3 games to go over this evening. Alright, so the tournament is Operation Waisao at Mythic Games in Santa Cruz, California. We'll be playing Frostbite, Armory, and Engineering deck. Let me get my pen here. Excellent. Okay, so here's my first list. We're playing, obviously not limited insertion, normal 300 points. This list, I have been using something similar in some of my recent reports. The biggest change in this list, down here at the bottom, I've added in an Umbra, there he is, and a Nexus Hacker. This replaces Sheshkin. I found that I really like Sheshkin, but she's my lieutenant, and I find that I'm not using her aggressively because of that. And so she's not quite doing what I wanted her to do, as was the other slot in the army, which was sometimes a Renegade, a Krakow Renegade, and sometimes a Hungry. They also weren't quite doing what I wanted. So I thought maybe the Umbra would fit in there. I really like the Umbra Samaritan because of his Protheon, as well as all his other cool toys. Breaker Combi Rifle, and the Vorpal Weapons Crate. I'll be using this in 2 of the games, so we'll see some action there. And my other list. This is primarily for Engineering deck and for Armory, because the Skiavoros is a great room clearer. His weapon loadout makes him just terrifying at close range. He's got the Sepsitor, so he can steal people. He's got a Plasma Rifle, which is really deadly up close. He has Mimetism, and he's got enough armor to withstand a hit or 2. He's great for the room. Same with the Umbra Legatus here. Legate, yeah. Yeah, I took him over the Samaritan because I wanted the Hacking Device Plus. I wanted the white noise and the possibility of Cyber Mask if you needed it. So the rest of this list, we got a Krakow Renegade in here, a Kurgat, pretty standard stuff for me. Bit and Kiss, it's really just for the pitcher, as usual. She's fine as a specialist, but she has a pitcher and gives good repeater coverage. We got our drones, M-Drone, T-Drone. There's no Q-Drone in this list. I kind of figured that I didn't need it to control the room. It wasn't as important. The T-Drone could have been the Q-Drone, but I really wanted a way to guide missiles into the room, in case the opponent gets locked up in there and I don't want to go in there to tangle with them. All right. So 2 Dotaratsai, they're there to hang out with Skiavoros because he's vulnerable in close combat. So if they're anywhere near him, they can help protect against that. Shrouded, EI Assault Hacker. Shrouded's one of my key pieces always. He's amazing. In the second group, we have another Shrouded. This one is a sniper. I really enjoy the Shrouded Sniper. People don't like infiltrating snipers because they think that they don't want to get close to the enemy. This is a misconception that you have to infiltrate close to the enemy. There are plenty of great places to infiltrate to get your good firing arcs. I really like, in objective room missions, to get someone on the enemy's half of the board with an ARO to the approach to the room, so the enemy can't just walk up to the room for free before they have to start dealing with you. And an infiltrating sniper is perfect for that. In his group, we just got a couple of orders for him, an R-Drone, a couple of Imatrons. This is also a different list building idea for me. I usually have the Imatrons in the main group, because as far as I know, they are equipment, not troopers. You can't move them from group to group with command tokens. Another weird thing about them not being troopers. After playing this list a little bit, I believe that the R-Drone should have been in group 1, and the Engineer should have been in group 2. That way, when the Shrouded is done doing his thing, if he doesn't need all 4 orders, I can do a little bit with the Engineer, like move into a better position, lay a mine, something like that. All right, moving on. The first mission, Frostbite. Frostbite we've seen before. Exclusion Zone, Data Tracker is really important. It's basically a killing mission with, at the end of the game, everyone dies if they're not in a heated zone or heavy infantry tag Data Tracker. All right, here's my first opponent. Kalkos, I suppose? Kalkos. He's playing the Tartary Army Corps. This maybe my second game against TAC. Here is his list. You can see in the lower left I've noted that the Ratnik is in group 2, and the second piece of paper that I did not get a picture of. I don't know a lot about this army. I browsed through it because it's new, but I don't know in detail. Which will come up like in the very beginning of the game. You'll see that. You'll see my lack of knowledge on it, as I don't know what's going on. All right, moving on. I lose lieutenant role. He chooses to go first, so of course he's deploying first. Our data trackers are the Nexus and the Ratnik. This makes the data tracker and my lieutenant the same guy. It's kind of all eggs in one basket, but he's going to be pretty cautious with what he's doing, so I think I'll be okay. And both of his Ermendijos got +1 armor. Okay, here's the battlefield. I'll move out of the way momentarily. The side you're looking at now ends up being the side that he deploys on, which you will see as soon as we move on. So here's some of his deployment. We've got some camo tokens out front. We've got the Ratnik back here, which I believe was his reserve. So we've already got to the point where his reserve is down. Ermendijo over here on the right. The link of Line Kazakhs down here. He told me it was a link of Line Kazakhs, and I jokingly asked, are there any Line Kazakhs in that link of Line Kazakhs? Because every time I see it, it seems to be like a whole bunch of veteran Kazakhs and something else, and like maybe one Line Kazakh. Okay, moving over to the center of his deployment zone. You got Voronin, who is prone. There's no prone marker here, but we let him be prone because that was pretty important later on. Camo tokens here and here. I immediately assume this is a sniper, and this sniper Spetsnaz, and down here is the HMG. I mean, not the HMG, the ambush camouflage. And it turns out to be exactly the opposite. The thing that I think is the ambush is in fact the HMG, and what I think is the sniper is the ambush. So, got me there. All right, there's 3 antipodes, right? 1, 2, the third one's right around here. You'll see it when we go around, and the antipode controller. And his Ermendijo is right behind my picture. You can't see it in there, but it's behind the bus. Okay, there he is. There's the Ermendijo there, and there's the other antipode there, all waiting. All right, here's my deployment. Starting on my right flank, we've got Icadron, Bit and Kiss, and the first Imatron. Remember, I'm deploying after him, so I see where those antipodes are, and I'm worried they're going to rush right across the board and super jump over this bus. And so I put the flamethrowers in their way. If they want to do that, maybe they'll have spotted by them and I can burn them down. And so the best they'll do is kill 1 or 2 of these guys. At least that's what I'm hoping if they do that. This in the center here is Kiss with its adhesive launcher, and Bit hiding down over here. All right, moving across my deployment. HVT is not here. She hasn't been deployed yet. We'll get a picture of her where she is. One of my R drones is up on top of the building and gives him a good vantage point to hopefully suck some orders by flash pulsing people. I got my T drone down here. Again, really worried about the antipodes, so the T drone is sort of covering that angle. If they move up there and get spotted by maybe the R drone before they make their attack run, I can get a missile on them, kill 1. If I'm lucky and he's clumsy, I can kill 2. This is my E drone down in the lower left here. He'll be overclocking to give me burst 2 and all my flash pulses in turn 1. All right, here's the rest of my deployment. We've got the Shrouded Assault Hacker infiltrated up as far as you can go. The Q drone underneath my camera, right there, with his HMG. The other R drone here, the Umbra who's prone. Inside the building, we have the Nexus Data Tracker Hacker. And you can't see it in this picture, but the Kurgat Engineer is right there also. And then back here, we've got the M drone and a slave drone for my Kurgat. The HVT ends up right here. As you can see, it's just on the inside of the building, which will be the objective room in the next 2 missions. But in this, it's just some walls. We're not playing it as a building. All right. There's my opponent's HVT in the far corner over there. And I spent a command token to overclock. I also spent another one to strip a couple orders. So I only have 2 command tokens for this game. There's the overclock marker. And this is Ratnik starting to move out. And I think that the next picture is actually my reserve, which I'll show you. Yeah. Okay, so my reserve is the impersonator down here. Now remember that I'm going second, and I'm really worried about these antipodes. So what I was thinking when I put her back here, the impersonator, was that he would maybe bring the antipodes back and try to discover her, and then kill her in close combat with all 3 of them. That's going to take at least 3 orders if he wants to do that. So he's got to spot me twice, and then engage me in close combat. And if he does that, I might be able to get a shotgun blast onto them that hits the controller over there as well as them. I might beat them in close combat. I've got some martial arts. I'm not really sure what, but I think that he'll suck a couple of orders into this, and that's the best that she can do for this game. Yeah, so that was my reserve. And then we're moving into his first turn. Where the first thing that is happening is the Ratnik is moving around. You can see it back here in this little circle. And it's drawing a line of fire up to this R drone and to the other R drone that is actually, pretend there's a straight line going there. Yeah. Okay, so he's taking some flash pulses, and he's not in good range brackets on his first order, so he basically gets flash pulsed a couple of times and makes some BTS saves. He's got his sunglasses on, it's fine. And he moves up a little more, there he is, he's still fighting. Same thing's going on in this picture. This Ermendijo who runs straight up the side of the bus, gets to the edge of the bus, throws the smoke down, runs out, in the same order there, which is a little bit of a mistake because he's getting a line of fire to the Q drone as well as a flash post drone there. He should have thrown a smoke out here, right, and let that resolve, and then with a new order moved out if he was trying to get behind here, which looked like where he was going. Because the Q drone, here's the line of fire, you can see it's kind of like this through the area right down to where he is. It's long range for the Q drone, but still it's 4 dice, and he rolls very low, and the Q drone puts him unconscious. All right, so this is the Spetsnaz. You can see it here. It moves up to here, and I hold because my Q drone can again see it through there. And so then he activates the Spetsnaz again, walks up to the wall, comes over here, but I see him when he's out of cover. So I'm getting a shot at him out of cover despite him surprising me. And the first order of that, the Spetsnaz gets hit by the HMG once. He makes a save, spends another order shooting, this time from inside cover, and he puts the Q, this is the line of fire you can see right there. And he puts the Q drone unconscious with that his next order of doing that. All right, so the antipodes move up. The Spetsnaz goes back into camo. This is one of the antipodes. The other two are off to my right here. And they're just sort of lurking there waiting for next turn. I was glad they didn't make a rush. I'd like to see why he didn't with all those flamethrowers over there. So this is kind of what his turn ends looking like. His link team down here, they move out. First, the missile launcher moves out and back, trying to spot the impersonator. It fails. So then this one, I'm not sure what it is, maybe a normal guy, a paramedic, something like that. Also trying to spot the impersonator and also failing. So they spent a couple of orders on that. I'm quite happy, and my impersonator is still alive. And I think that was the end of his turn. You can see where the other Ermendijo ended up. It just kind of ran across here. I believe it threw a smoke, took some flash pulses. Nothing terribly relevant. All right, going into my first turn. I'll move myself down here because you can see this slave drone runs up to here to fix the Q drone. Same time the Kurgat moves up a little bit. The slave drone takes a shot from somebody. It passes the armor save and then guts its back, which is how it gets to get away from this Q drone. It also fixes the Q drone, which is the important part there. And the Q drone then gets assisted fire on it from the Nexus using either the data tracker or the lieutenant order. I think I used the data tracker. I don't think I used my lieutenant order in my first turn. He trades some shots here where he hits one of the Link team members, causing him to guts back. Doesn't kill him though. Oh yeah, so here's this camo token. This is what I was saying, that I just have no idea what this is. It's a forward deploying big camo token, and I just I cannot think of what it could be. Because it can't be 3 antipodes. That's an old rule, right? Antipodes are over there. So it's got to be an antipode of some kind, but there's no one around it, and I just don't know what it is. So I'm just expecting it to be something terrifying. So my M drone activates. First the impersonator comes over. She walks out to here. There's a hold from the operator and a couple of discovers from that. I tell him don't bother rolling. She's just going to go prone and move over to here. And he can pass those discovers. Doesn't really matter because it can only reduce me by 1 level to impersonation level 1. And with the next order, I move directly into close combat and surprise and kill the antipode controller, which will put the antipodes possibly into retreat next turn. They have to pass a willpower test. And as far as I know, you can spend command tokens to cancel that retreat. It's just retreat state. It doesn't say anything else about it. I don't know if it's 1 for all 3 or 1 each. We'll see. Okay, so then the M drone comes up. As it's moving by, it's a sensor, so it gets +6 to discover. It attempts to discover this big camo token that I have no idea what it is, and fails. So it moves up again, seeing through here. It sees the antipode there. That one it does discover, and then it moves up and takes a shot at it as it goes to there. And I believe it puts the antipode unconscious, which we'll see momentarily here. More importantly, though, I'm now within 8 inches of the Spetsnaz, who's on the other side of this wall. So there he is. He's a camo token, but I sat lock him. Another E-drone ability to avoid the -6 penalty when sat locking. So the Spetsnaz gets sat locked, and then it takes 1 guided missile to put him unconscious. You can see the antipode is also unconscious there. That was from just the M drone shooting it as it went up. All right, using all the orders in group 2, the shrouded jumps up. He was down in this corner over here, runs around the corner, secures that objective for the combined army, turning on the heater in the deployment zone for the combined army. He then falls back, leaving a mine, falls back, leaving a mine, and falls back all the way over to here, kind of hiding by the HVT. He's facing off to my right mostly. His facing's kind of like that. This is because I'm more worried about the antipodes coming around the corner there than I am anything pushing up over here. The only thing that can really do that on that side is the Ratnik, and it'll be facing down the Q drone and a bunch of flash pulsars. So not too worried about that. I would have liked to have him go prone, but I just didn't have any more orders. I needed all that movement to get away from the mines in case he rocket launchers them. And the blast does this, and, does not kill me. All right. So the M drone's in the center of the building there. It's in a really bad position. It doesn't have enough orders to get away, so I just put it on suppressive fire. Yeah, maybe this is a mistake. I usually think suppressive fire is. What I would have done now in hindsight was I would have zipped over into this corner right here and shot the corpse of the Spetsnaz, so he couldn't have been medicked. But I don't do that. All right, so this is my opponent's turn. And you can see the disabled marker next to this antipode up here. So when my Q drone moved around up here, my opponent revealed that it was the antipode that comes with the Stroylock, I think it's called. And he thought it had G servant, which means it can be anywhere on the board. But it doesn't. It has G sync, which means it has to be within 8. And if it isn't, it just goes null. And I asked my opponent how he wanted to resolve that. He said, well, I'll just have it be disconnected right there where it is. And I said that was fine. The Stroylock ends up being over here to my left somewhere, and he'll, in a couple of slides, run over and reactivate it and see what he can do. This is smoke going down from a Ermendijo, who I'm not sure where he's right behind this box. And I don't think he does that, though. I think he gets killed doing it. I don't remember smoke. Yeah, the smoke isn't there. Okay, maybe he just fails the roll. So this is the Ratnik coming out. Again, it's facing down the Q drone and some flash pulses, and it doesn't go well for him. He goes unconscious. Let me grab my camera. He goes unconscious right there. The model does have Dogged, but he doesn't use that because it's his data tracker, and he doesn't want it to die, which is totally a fair play. You can see already, put my camera back over here, this antipode is no longer unconscious. His paramedic has shot it like that and brought it back to life. And then the paramedic is probably going to, the reason he went unconscious, not died, he's going to try to bring up the Ratnik. So yeah, the link team moves up, and the paramedic moves over here now and grabs the Ratnik, and the Ratnik rolls a 12, which is not good enough with the -3, and it dies. That's bad for him because that was his data tracker. Okay, here's the camo token moving over, kind of middle top of the screen. That is the Stroylock, which brings the antipode back online. It's a camo token, so I'm holding as it goes by. It doesn't get within range of the mine, so it moves across there just fine. It comes over here to fight the M drone and suppressive fire. You can see by the unconscious marker that does not work out. The antipode moves to here and throws his hammer at the M drone, just flat misses. And the Q drone, who's again seeing through this arc, kills the antipode. The Stroylock is just unconscious. And he gets medicked again by this paramedic, shoots a medi thing over there, brings him back, and he gives it another try, but this time he's killed by the M drone. So he's not even there anymore. The antipodes over here are all in retreat, which is why they're not doing anything. They're all sitting there doing whatever the antipodes do when they're in retreat. My opponent didn't spend a command token to cancel anything, and he obviously failed the willpower check at the beginning of the turn. Okay, so this is kind of just where my turn ends. You can see my R drone here has been destroyed. Nothing else significant in that photo. You can see the Kurgat where he's moved up when the slave drone came up there. All right, we're into, I think it's the end of my opponent's turn where a sniper popped out and killed the slave drone. Pretty sure that's what happened there. And okay, so my lieutenant data tracker has now run to the center of the board. My opponent's pretty low on models, so I'm not, I don't want to put him into retreat this turn because I want to have another turn to get things. So I'm not sure what I should be killing because I don't really know points values that great in his army. So this guy runs up to the center here. The antipodes still in retreat or dodging around a little bit. But this is my data tracker in the center zone. He's prone. I am worried about him being killed there. So I bring up the Umbra. And the first thing he does is go off to my left. I didn't get pictures of this, but he gets in a firefight with a couple members of the Link team and puts a couple of them unconscious. They were down a member already, so they didn't have their full ballistic skill bonus. And then he runs over here. Obviously, I've put him into group 1 by now because he's spinning a lot of orders. And he engages the antipodes, who are still in retreat, so they can't attack. All I can really do is dodge. So he does a wound to that one, puts it unconscious, gets a wound because it's the Samaritan. Super jumps over to this one, does a wound to it, so now he's powered up 2. He's got 2 extra wounds. And then he hops over here with super jump. Can't quite get into base contact with the 3rd antipode, but he does shoot it with his breaker combi rifle and kill it. So the Samaritan ends up with 2 extra wounds, sitting on the corner of this building with his facing kind of like this, to my left, like that. All right, so my opponent's 3rd turn. He's got to bring on his combat jumper, which is another Spetnaz. He has chosen this quarter. Remember at the beginning of the board, the combat or airborne infiltration have to choose where they're going at the beginning of the game. Unfortunately for him, the exclusion zone ends like right here, like the very edge of the bus. So he could appear on top of the bus, which would be terrible, or he could appear over here, which is just really bad. He's getting flamethrowered by this Icadron, he's getting flash pulsed by somebody, but he dies to the flamethrower. He gets burnt off the board. All right, let me move my camera down. You can see, I think it's Vasily over here. Is that the right name for his sniper? The sniper pops out and is taking shots all the way down the board at the Samaritan. He's got a T2 sniper, right? But my Samaritan has 2 extra wounds and is in cover and I'm dodging. I choose to dodge, but I dodge in place because I'm quite happy with him spending orders doing that. He spends a couple orders shooting at him, doesn't really get anything done. I'm fine with it. All right, Veronin walks up over here, T2 shotgun, kills the impersonator in 1 shot. It's my turn. There's not really that much for me to do. My data tracker in the center hits the button to turn on this heater right here, and then everybody else falls back out of the zone where they're going to die because they don't have fur coats like the data tracker. And that's pretty much the end of the game. Yeah. I had a bunch of surviving points. Remember, I got 2 baggage bots in there, so there's 40 extra points counted into that. But first game down, and it went fine for the Combined Army. Moving on to the second game. The Armory. This is the first mission of with an objective room that we're doing. I am going to be playing against US Ariadna in this one. So I decided not to use my Skiavoros list because the Sepsitor doesn't work on them. None of them have cubes. Armory is a pretty straightforward mission. Occupy the room at the end of each turn for a point. Occupy at the end of the game for 5 points. 4 for end of the game, plus 1 for the turn. More things, and 1 classified objective. I don't think I did any classified objectives this day. I took pictures of them. I don't know. I didn't. I just secured HVT or didn't do it. All right. Standard deployment zone for the Armory. There's an exclusion zone. There's the 2 panoplies. Otherwise, it's normal. Normal 12-inch, I mean. All right. My second opponent is Hecaton. He's one of the regulars in Santa Cruz. We play fairly regularly. He's playing as US Ariadna today. This is his list. It is a 10-order single combat group list. I'll give you a minute to look at it. A couple blackjacks. He really likes Van Zant. I was pretty sure Van Zant was going to be in there somewhere when I saw him deploy 9 guys. I suppose it could have been just a paratrooper, but I was pretty sure it was Van Zant. Okay, let's move on. I lose the lieutenant role. He chooses sides. I deploy first and choose to go first. I'm pretty comfortable going first against a 10-order list. I think I can take out a couple of his orders, and that'll make it much harder for him to get up to the objective room, especially if I can get some AROs to stop him from doing it. Most Ariadna players discount hacking completely because they think they're unhackable until you start spotlighting and exiling them, and they're just not prepared for that, which is what we will actually see in the first couple of orders here. Here's his deployment. He's got the whole link team down like this. Rosie up here. This is the HMG Blackjack. And to the other side, we've got the Devil Dog team there. This is my deployment. Again, I'm counter deploying, right? So I'm deploying second. Okay, so right here, we've got M drone. There's an Icadron and an E drone. The Nexus Lieutenant Hacker is there. R drone, Shrouded Assault Hacker, Bit and Kiss, Imatron, Umbra Samaritan again, the Kurgat Engineer, Imatron, Q drone here, Icadron, and there's an R drone here, and there's a slave drone down in the corner over there you can't quite see. There's my HVT there. I don't recall where his is. I didn't do anything with it. Okay, reserves. My reserve is the impersonator right behind Rosie. Nobody can see her when I place it. And then his reserve, same line, is the sniper rifle blackjack, which is, I think, a pretty good placement there. If the impersonator wants to kill Rosie, she'll likely be killed by a T2 sniper. And her auto med kit won't help her from that, right? So, okay, beginning my first turn. First thing I do is run up Bit and Kiss and shoot off a pitcher right there. The pitcher, it's within 16, so it's not a bad shot. It's a 14 or less. It lands, and as soon as I roll the die, I realize, damn, I should have put it like an inch over that way, because I'm not sure if I'm in range of the Link team, the first member of which is prone behind this little barricade over there. And it's obviously within 8 of the blackjack, which is my target, but I'd like to get both. So the repeater goes down, the assault hacker moves out from the from combat group 2 and carbonites the blackjack. It takes me 2 orders to do it, but he's also moving around towards the objective room as he does it. And once he's carbonated, then all you can do is reset when the impersonator moves in and kills Rosie, which she does with 1 order without too much trouble. This is my opponent removing my impersonation marker. That's the repeater. Repeaters are actually S1, which is why we put this down here so we can actually see what it was. The blackjack resets from that, but the impersonator is already still prone, but moved into base contact with and killed Rosie. And then I, again, still moving the shrouded assault hacker, I spotlight the first member of the Link team, which is like right here. And I did that with combat group 2 because I didn't want to use orders out of combat group 1 on a failed exile attempt because it was not within range. Turns out it is within range, and the shrouded spotlights, so enters the targeted state to the first member of the Link team there. So first thing I do is, after that, exile them. And now that the model is targeted, you get +3 on hacking as well as shooting at it, something I always forget. But I'm hacking it on a 16 with the E-drone in order to exile them. There's a picture of Rosie getting killed by there. So on a 16, the E-drone rolls a 17. My opponent rolls something like an 8 on this, and I'm just bitter that I failed yet another hacking attempt on a 16. This is kind of a thing with me. So I spend a command token and re-roll, which is not a great decision, because he's rolled an 8. So I really have to roll between a 9 and a 16. I mean, that's pretty good. It's not great. I fail. I roll a 4, I think, and still bitter that I'm failing. I spend another command token, re-roll, and it's successful this time. So 2 command tokens into that. Yeah. And he fails his BTS save, and the link is broken, and the model is exiled. It's important that the link is broken because now I'm going to guide missiles into them, and I don't want them to avoid the -3 for template out of line of fire. So, using my T-drone, I fire a guided missile on an 18 or less, and I roll a 19. I'm like, this is whatever. Keep firing. So I do it again, and my second shot is great, and kills one of them, one that was here maybe, and puts this one unconscious. And it just so happened the one that I killed was his lieutenant. And when a model dies, completely off the board dead, you have to reveal all secret information. So it dies, my opponent tells me that was my lieutenant. This is something I think a lot of people don't know, and so they won't tell you right then that their lieutenant is dead. There's no unknown ranger on the board, so I know he's going to be in loss of lieutenant in the next turn. That's really important information that your opponent is supposed to give you, and I think a lot of people just don't know that rule and so don't do it. All right, so feeling good about that. And now I use my lieutenant order to upgrade my Q drone to marksman. I know that's what happens next. The Q drone comes around, it's in a couple of pictures, to here, and fires down this lane and shoots the sniper blackjack until it's dead, and then kind of backs off. In this picture you can see the Umbra's moved up. This is where Kiss ends up, it's right behind it. The Umbra's moved up into the room and got +1 armor out of a panoply, and they positioned himself there. That 7 was a crit from Bit and Kiss, shooting a adhesive launcher into the, yeah, there it is, into the Devil Dog there. Okay, you can see the Shrouded is also already moved into the room, and the Q drone's back over here. Maybe he's about to make his attack run. Maybe I did have that out of order. They move up, Q drone comes up, yeah, sorry about this. Super blurry shot, he gets a shot going over there like that. And, you know, this is actually my second turn. My opponent's first turn he was the Lost Lieutenant, remember. All he really did is shuffle around the Link team and destroy the repeater that was right here. Pretty sure that was all he did in his first turn. It was on the impetuous order that the Devil Dog got immobilized by Kiss. And so my turn, Bit moves up, throws down a new repeater over here. Now she's out of repeaters. And those guys reposition, as I was showing you. Impersonator goes back into impersonation. Those guys are inside the room, as I showed you. Kurgat's moved up, it's on the edge of the room. Bit runs up, throws down a repeater over here. This is her deployable repeater. She's out of pitchers, which you fired out there. The Shrouded, on my left here, runs up to the doorway, plants a mine, runs inside. I'm not sure that I'm far enough away from that mine to be safe if he gets shot by his rocket launcher or missile launcher that's running around. It also might not be line of fire from the center. I think there was. I was worried about that at that point, but I didn't have any more orders to get him away from it. Okay. So here's the Q-Drone's final position, which is guarding against the Link team coming around there, or the other Blackjack moving up. You see the Umber in the room in the mine. Yeah, it's a better picture of that. You can barely in the bottom of the screen here see the Kurgat. He's moved up this far. He's also moved up his slave drone a little bit, in case he has to revive the Q-Drone or something. All right, into my opponent's second turn. He's got, I think, 4 regular orders. So Van Zant comes on the board. First regular order moves over and kills the T-Drone. Takes him 1 shot. Remember, he knows who my lieutenant is, because I used the lieutenant order to upgrade my drone in turn 1, probably in turn 2 as well. So he then comes up around the corner here, and then walks from here to the edge of this, in cover there, and shoots over here at my Nexus lieutenant. I have hyperdynamics, which is one of the reasons I like that as a lieutenant choice, but I roll something low like a 3, he shoots me, I have to make 1 armor save, and I fail and go unconscious. So I will be in Lost Lieutenant in my turn 3, which is not a great place to be. But I already have guys in the room, and he's down a lot of orders. But Van Zant is standing like right here, and I know I have to deal with that. So here we are moving into my turn 3, lost a lieutenant, also down a couple command tokens, partially because I spent them to get that exile off on turn 1. So the Q-Drone runs back over here. It's not upgraded anymore, but I have to use my last command token to make someone's order, which is an Icadron's, regular, so that the Q-Drone can zip over here where it can see Van Zant, and then zip back around here. Fortunately for me, 1 volley of the Q-Drone does kill Van Zant. If it hadn't, that would have been really bad. It didn't really have a lot of other pieces that could attack it at all. But that did work out. So then everyone else is spending only their own order to do something. The Kurgat here does give me a regular order, but he spends it on himself to run into the room. He runs to like right here and pulls a multi-rifle out of the panoply, which I promptly forget, which would have been awesome when he gets in a firefight through this door later. But he's in the room. That's also important. Okay, so Bit uses her irregular order to go and suppress a fire. The Shrouded uses his irregular order to isolate the other Blackjack back there. I think that's important because it'll take a regular order away. And he needs to have guys getting into the room to have any hope of doing anything. Umbra uses his irregular order to run across over here and get something out of the panoply. I'm hoping for like ODD or something like that, or maybe +4 armor or something. Because I assume that would be cumulative with the +1 armor he already got. But he gets a Flash Pulse. He already has a Flash Pulse, so now he has 2, which would be kind of fun in the active turn, if you run around dual Flash Pulsing people. But this is how the objective room ends at the end of my 3rd turn. 3 guys inside, not in camo, him over here. I know that the Blackjack is going to get 1 shot through this doorway at me. It's isolated, so it can't get more. But as long as I can survive that 1 shot, I should be pretty secure with that. And the Q-Drone, I think we have shot the Q-Drone over here. This is the beginning of his turn. You can see it's already unconscious, but this is where the Q-Drone ended up with its 1 order. Or I guess I spent 2 on it because of the last command token I had. But he's covering this flank down here. On my right flank, which you can't see in this picture, a couple of my drones use their irregular order to jump up on boxes, or climb up on boxes, so that they would be able to throw arrows down to this doorway as well. And the Impersonator just used her order to walk over here, again, to get line of fire towards the doorway with her shotgun, just to add a little weight of fire to it. So, my opponent starts, I believe 3 regular orders is all he has, plus a lieutenant order. So, first order, they come around the corner, gets in a firefight with the Q-Drone and kills it. He also takes like a flash pulse and doesn't do anything. And then they move up again. And this time he walks like right to here, and he takes a mine. Bit is going to, the mine puts him unconscious, kills the unconscious devil dog. But maybe it's not the mine that puts him unconscious. Maybe it's Bit shooting with her submachine gun and AP, or a couple combi rifles coming down this way from drones at long range. And there's also a flash pulse coming in this way. Not super relevant, but it does come in. This leaves only 2 Minutemen left over here. His plan is like to come running out here. He's already fired down this corridor and put the Kuryat unconscious. So the only in the room now is the Shrouded and the Umbra. So if he can kill the Umbra, like with the flamethrower, and then he can maybe outpoint the Shrouded and take the room at the end. So here's the 2 remaining there that move up, and they're taking a lot of fire. You know, taking Bit and Kiss. The shotgun appears here and shoots because she can hit both of them with the template as they move through that area right there. Shrouded is firing. There's also get a couple combi rifles coming down like that, a flash pulse coming down like that. So one of them goes unconscious, the other one gets flash pulsed, so it can't even attack once it gets in the room. And that's where the game ends. Oh, you can, the Umbra's here. He did survive the 1 shot from the Blackjack down there. He fired down his AP HMG, and the Umbra dodged and was fine. Okay? Yeah, there's the very end of it. They're just like in front of the room doing nothing. You can see the Kurgat's unconscious because he got killed in the firefight. All right, and that is where the game ends. So another 10 for the combined army. And not a lot left for US Ariadne. All right, moving into mission 3, which is engineering deck, where I am using my Skiavoros list. I'm playing against Toha on this list, in this mission, and I almost played the first list again because I really want like the E-drone against them, because they have a lot of lane teams running around. I still have Bit and Kiss to put pictures around. But I like Skiavoros for the room, so I chose the Skiavoros list. A couple things about engineering deck. Our scoring, we were a little confused. So apparently, finding this out later, more consoles is supposed to be 4 victory points, not 5. And where it says data tracker in the room, where is that? Have your data tracker in the room? Well, you note there's no data tracker in the mission up here. So data tracker room is supposed to be Xenotech in the room. I mean, that makes sense, I suppose. And how we played it, we played it no bonus for the data tracker or Xenotech in the room, and we played it as written, 5 for more consoles, not 4. I think that was the only real difference there. And here's the map. Again, the map isn't quite right. There is no exclusion zone in this mission, except for the room. The room's an objective room, and there's kind of a default rule in Infinity where you cannot deploy in base contact with an objective. So we ruled that you cannot deploy in or touching the objective room, despite there being no exclusion zone. Also, there are 5 consoles in this mission, and not only the 4 you see in this map. In the description of the mission, there's a 5th console in the center right there, and we did use that. The room is also a saturation zone. That's in the mission, but that is not on the map, but it is there. Okay, so my third opponent, Nehemiah, playing Toha. This is his list. I have a lot of trouble with Toha names, so I'll generally say something like, you know, the Toha with a shotgun, or it's got a flash pulse and a shotgun. That's the Keltar, I suppose. I also don't really know this list well enough to know that the one that gives him the mates also has chain of command. If I did, I might have tried to kill it, but probably not. It was in a pretty hidden position. But there's his list. 2 secrets he's got. All right, there is a Cube Yager, and of course a Calypsos, who's going to be hidden deployed. Those are the 2 things that I don't know about on the list when we start. Okay, there it is. I lose the lieutenant role. He chooses sides and makes me deploy first. I choose to go first. Again, kind of the same thing with the armory. I can get some good arrows. I can get Skiavoros in the room. The scoring for engineering deck is a little weird in that in order to secure the room at the end of the game, you have to be the only player with any models who are not null in there. That can be pretty tough because like a slave drone can run in there under a smoke cloud and the enemy can't score it. So Skiavoros is great for that because he's got a Sepsitor. Anybody who walks in, unless they're under smoke or something, you can Sepsitor them with a damage 16 attack against their BTS, and he can stop anybody regardless of how many wounds they have. Though I guess a Symbiomate could prevent that. All right, my crack got climbing plus and 6-4 move. He's got +3 Fizz and regeneration for the one on my left during the game. The one on my right, it gets +1 armor and bioimmunity. This is my deployment, the 4 reserves, and you will recall Skivoros has Strategos, level 2, so I will have 2 reserves. But we have Bit and Kiss over here on my left, my T-Drone, who's sort of guarding this avenue there and trying to be safe in order to guide things. The Engineer, his boarding shotgun, the Slave Drone will be off to the right. This camo token is infiltrated up just right next to this objective, not touching it because you can't. That's the Shrouded Assault Hacker. This is the M drone. There is a roof to this building, we just have it off for ease of access. That's the M drone, Ulaties 1, my Xenotech, who's synced to the Skivoros. I hate the Xenotech. If I could kill them every game, I would. Alright, so here's the rest of the deployment. Ulaties number 2, directly across from the first Ulaties. Skivoros, the Slave Drone. I keep the Slave Drone kind of near Skivoros so I can fix him, because he's 1 wound, no wounding cap with structural points, and Gene Mnemomnica allows you to re-roll the engineering roll. So if he takes 1 wound, you can send in the Slave Drone and fix him with fair degree of certainty, depending how many command tokens you have left to get that wound back. The Umbra Hacking Device Plus is there, and then we have the R drone over here, which is in group 2. This is my HVT in the corner. And the 2 Imatrons, which because of the change to combat jump in this mission, they just automatically land in my deployment zone touching a board edge. So they're just tucked over in the corner where they're fairly safe. And my first reserve here is the Krakot Renegade. He's pushed up as far as he can. You'll see the enemy deployment in a minute, but Lemule is on top of this building, straight up there. Yeah, we'll get to the rest of his deployment momentarily. My second reserve is my Shrouded Sniper over here. This was actually a really tough decision. There's a big building, the one Lemule is on. It's got like a second story on it, and I almost put the Shrouded up there. He would have had to roll to get there, but if he failed, there was a nice tall position on the left of my deployment zone, which you'll see in a slide or two. I'll point it out. And I like that position on the top. You can see a couple guys on top of this building over here to try to kill them. But I ended up going with this one because it had better coverage of the approach of the objective room, as well as kind of pinning down all the guys who are deployed over here. If they're going to come down this ladder, if they stand up and they're on top of that room, there's a guy standing down here I can see immediately. That's one of the Keltars. And there's also a baggage Choxa over here I can see. Okay. So this is the building I was talking about. You can see this level here is where Lemule is, and there's another story here, which is where I was thinking about putting the Shrouded. Okay, so impetuous order, this guy runs over to here. Nobody can see him, so he's just running there. Now the enemy Diplomat is directly down this line, and when he gets to the top of the building there, the Diplomat will see me and start doing, flash pulsey things. In the past, you may have seen me ignoring flash pulses all the time. The reason I do is because of what happens here. I move my M drone, which is down this way, inside that building. I move it up to get line of fire, and I shoot at it with my combi rifle. I'm very far away, so -3 for range, -3 for his cover, and he's +3, -3 for my cover. I may have actually been -3 for range too, but whatever. I hit him once with the combi rifle, and he saves. And then I triangulate fire to get 3 shots on him on 9. I hit him again, and he saves. So now I've wasted 2 orders shooting this delegate. And I just can't spend more orders than that. I would rather just run this guy up there and not worry about it. So that's what I do next. Krakot runs to the top and dodges the flash pulse. This is more respect than I've given flash pulses in a long time. But he does it, runs up to there, dodges it. Next order, he runs around this corner into base contact with Lemule, who's about here on the other side of that. Takes the arrow flash pulse. Also takes a symbio bomb from Nima Sitar on the bottom. He ignores all that and berserks into Lemule. I crit him with my close combat of like 27, my double action weapon, and put him unconscious. I also go unconscious from, actually, Lemule kills me with his knife in close combat because I'm berserking, so I don't get to face it. I'm also flash pulse and take a bomb, so that trade feels fine. Okay, on my right flank, the Shrouded is crawling around back and forth on top of this thing, and this is me being greedy, not making very good decisions. I put like 1 burst there, 1 burst there, and then remember that the Kilatar, who's whip 14 in his link team, is 2 dice back at me. He hits me, and I make my first save. I try it again. and I fail my second save to the flash pulses. I'm losing all the face-to-faces. So the Shrouded ends up being blind right here. By the end of the turn, he'll scoot over to this corner, just because I like the line of fire from there. But he didn't really get anything done, which was kind of annoying. But it's totally my fault for splitting my burst when I was fighting somebody who was also throwing burst 2 back at me. Okay, Bit and Kiss move up to here. Bit fires her repeater out to there. This puts Nima Sitar's Link team, who's that way, behind a wall, into my repeater range. And this is probably the biggest mistake I make in the game. My Umbra, who starts right next to this objective, runs out to here. And I'm thinking about the objective, and it goes right through my mind. I should get that objective right now, because no one's opposing me, and this mission is 5 objective points for having more consoles. Really important to get these consoles. But I'm like, I'll come back to it, or I'll get the one up here later on, because there's nobody really over here who's a threat to him. So he'll be able to like run around here, deal with these guys, get this. It'll be fine, is what I say. And so instead, I decide to isolate Nima Sitar. I know she's BTS 9, but I still think it's worth it, which is probably a very bad decision. I do, however, succeed in that, and I isolate Nima. There she is with her newly acquired isolation token. I also don't really realize, because I don't know much about Toha, but this guy standing right next to her is an engineer, so I didn't really even do that much by doing that. She's no longer the lieutenant. She was, because he has advanced command. He had 5 command tokens out. I knew that. But I know one of his guys has chain of command, so I didn't really do that much by doing that. All right, so that's pretty much all I did that turn, too. The Umbra moved up into a corner, which is a little bit safer, and this is into my opponent's first turn. This is my opponent's HVT right here. And this is his Krakot Renegade, who runs around the corner and chain rifles my repeater, which is fine. It fails one of the 2 saves and is destroyed, which is good, because then he can reform his Link over there and do all that kind of stuff that he wants to do without getting hacked. On my right, my opponent, playing very well to the mission, is Kairi Sentinel, who's up on top of this building. It kind of moves around and sends the data tracker, the Xenotech here, out from around there, spends an order or 2 to make sure she's far enough away from the zone, and plants the multi-tracker on the first try, right there. That's another reason I hate the Xenotech. My opponent plants it on the first try like every time, and I regularly just never plant it. Don't even, Okay, so this is Nima Sitar and her Link. She gets repaired by the engineer, and they move up. I believe she shoots through the, no, Lemuel does that in a moment. I think that all they do is move up right here. At some point, she moves too close to the wall here, where Bit is on the other side, and she gets isolated again. Yeah, there's the Lemuel moves up, fires through the doorway there, and puts the M-drone unconscious. This is an interesting interaction here, because my Umbra Hacking Device Plus is on the other side of the board, but there's a repeater in the form of Kiss pretty close to Lemuel, who has MSV1. So he can't see through a white noise. So I throw down a white noise template basically on top of him, or on top of the firing position he was using to see this. So he can't see down here anymore, and he's kind of stuck on top of that building with nothing to do. Not liking that, my opponent, and he plays this Calypsos really well. It's terrifying for me. Calypsos appears right behind this wall, creeps around, and puts down a mine. The mine is going directly onto the Shrouded like that, should anything happen. Okay, so here's the white noise marker, starting right there, and the mule had come around here where he could shoot down like that to put the M-drone unconscious. So he can't do that anymore. All right, over here, somebody shoots at the Shrouded. I think it was the Calypso. She peeks around the corner and takes a shot. The Shrouded dodges, successfully dodges the mine. I think takes 1 hit from her and makes an armor save. Important part of the mine's gone, and the Shrouded survived it. All right, so then the Calypso comes around the corner a little bit farther, and this is a great play. Drops down the mine here, which now threatens the Umbra. Which means if I hack with the Umbra, I just take the mine. So that, it basically pins the Umbra down for the turn. Because he can't dodge until something gives him an arrow to do that. And he can't do that when you're moving around my hack zone. So I can't throw down that white noise in a new location. So here they are moving around. The Nima Sitar, she was fixed and joined her Link and moved up to the wall. And with Bit on the other side, I can't assault hack him because I'll take the mine with my Umbra, but I reveal my Shrouded assault hacker, and he isolates Nima again. I know her BTS is 9, and she failed it both times. All right. So here's a smoke cloud going down there. I believe this is the beginning of my turn 2. You can see a Dotterazzi sword right here in the bottom of the picture. I was obviously taking a picture of the smoke, not the Dotterazzi. He throws a smoke cloud up there in order to cover the approach, and then we start moving up. The Umbra over here, so in this picture he's attacking the Calypsos, and my opponent is putting down yet another mine. But the mine that was there, the way I dealt with that was this Dotterazzi runs up to here, and then spec fires over here a grenade, which catches the Calypsos and the mine. The first one I fail, the Calypsos dodges a little bit, and the second one I succeed with a roll of 1 actually, and the Calypsos dodges that, but the mine does not, and the mine is destroyed. So now the Umbra runs around the corner into close combat with the Calypsos, and what happens here is she decides to lay another mine. And the Keltar, who's over here, shoots me with his shotgun. I decide to shoot back at the Keltar, and I kill it with my shotgun, but I'm now in close combat, and there's a mine right next to me, which of course can't go off on me while I'm in close combat, but once I finish off the Calypsos, I'll have to deal with that mine somehow. Pretty quickly I spent an order just to kill the Calypsos, which may have been out of order, like not the most efficient thing to do until I got rid of that mine, but I did it, and I killed her. Yeah, so this is what ended up happening. I moved up my R drone here and realized that I couldn't use it to detonate the mine like I wanted to, because again, the Umbra would be hit because he's not in close combat anymore. He killed the Calypsos he was in close combat with. So I stress over this quite a bit, and eventually, with a coordinated order, I run the Umbra around over here and do a couple other movements around. I think maybe the 2 Dotterazzi move up and the Shrouded moves up on the other side of the board, something like that. And the Umbra just decides to dodge. Between a dodge and an armor save, he's got a decent chance of surviving the mine, despite 1 wound in cap, it being damage 13 shock. I also make another sloppy mistake right here, and the Umbra's facing is like this, right? He's facing this corner. That's just terrible facing, right? He should be facing literally exactly the opposite of what he's facing, but that's how I put him down. So the Umbra dodges, rolls a 19. I'm like, well, it's not going to go well. Let's do his armor save, and he rolls a 14. Very clutch, and the Umbra survived that. Okay, so this is where the Shrouded end up at the end of my turn. This is the end of my turn 2. And the Shrouded moved up to here, and fortunately, he did hit the objective back there, the one that he was started by. So I have that objective. Skiavoros moved up a couple times into the center room here. It tried and failed to plant the multi-tracker, like I think twice. He failed that. Ends up right here. I really wanted to peek around this corner here and get a shot through here at Nima in the open with my plasma rifle. That would have been great, but I didn't quite have the orders to do that and get back to where I wanted to be at the end of the turn. So Skiavoros ends right here. This is a fine position because my entire right is covered by the sniper, the Umbra, some other stuff, and anybody that comes in either of these doors is going to get sepsitered. They also have to get past the Dotterazzi, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with all that. At this point, time was called in our game, and so we decide we're going to finish the next turn. So we've each had 2 turns, but we could play 2 turns, not 3. I was very disappointed by that because we were both having a great time in this game, and it was by no way decided, right? Because all the scoring in this game happens at the end of the game, and I've only gotten 1 objective so far, and I would have probably emphasized more had I known I wasn't getting another turn, but you never know these things, and so that's how I played it. And we're only going to play 1 more turn here, my opponent's second turn. All right, so Impetuous, the Krakot runs up over here, fires his chain rifle like this, hitting Bit and Kiss. This I thought was a slight mistake. I thought that the Shrouded was much more important right now than Bit and Kiss. So he should have done this. Ignored Bit, possibly killed Kiss, and tried to kill the Shrouded. What he does do is kill Bit and become immobilized by the Shrouded. Not the Shrouded, the Kiss. Kid hits him with the adhesive launcher and he fails the Phys -6 test. And there it is with the immobilized 2 marker there. And Kiss is, of course, deactivated because Bit is dead. All right. On my other flank over here, my opponent spends a few orders with the Kairi Sentinel firefighting the Shrouded. The Shrouded is now standing up. It doesn't care anymore about what happens to it. It's standing there just taking the arrows and everything. It takes like He spends 2 orders, maybe 3, I think 2 though, firing with the Kauri Sentinel until the Kauri is killed by the Shrouded. Actually takes a crit from the sniper rifle. Nima is off in the distance there. It can barely see the Shrouded. She moves away, she gets hacked, she gets shot, a couple other things, and she throws her Symbiomate at it. I did not realize a Symbiomate could stop both like shooting attacks and hacking attempts all in one go, but apparently it stops all hits that come in, so she didn't take anything, she got away. That's what Symbiomates are for. I don't think I have a picture of it, but my opponent walks on his Cube Yaga right here. And this is where the facing mistake on the Umbra comes up, right? I'm facing away from him for no reason whatsoever. Had I been facing the other way, I would have got a shot at him and possibly killed him, stopping him from securing my HVT right here. I do get a turn to face dodge and I make it, so I get to correct my facing, but he doesn't activate the Cube Yaga again, for good reason. There's no reason to risk that. Okay. This is sort of the last few orders of the game. My opponent spends a few more orders shooting and flash pulsing at the Ulaties and does not kill him. It does eventually blind him. And then he realizes he doesn't really have enough orders to get to the room with all that. So he gets a smoke grenade, zero-vis smoke down here. Then he gets another zero-vis smoke down here. As he runs up to do that, the Ulaties engages. The Makul, I think it is. They're close combat guys with viral weapons and zero-vis grenades. And the Ulaties successfully does that, leaving this over here, who I think is the bioengineer. He's the last guy who can try to make it to the room. This didn't occur to me to call my opponent on this, and like I said, we were both having a good time, playing very friendly. But he measures the 8-inch run to here, and it comes to like right here, outside of the room. He can't get in it. And then he's like, wait, I think I can make it this direction. So he measures the 8 to here, and does make it, indeed, right to there. And I was like, yeah, go for it, take it. So he runs 4 to there, doesn't really have any arrows there, runs again, 4 to there, does have some arrows here, gets sepsitered by the Skiboros, takes a combi rifle shot from the one Shrouded, and takes a sniper round from the other Shrouded over there. This is clutch because it comes down to this. My opponent has one objective, I have one objective, we both have our HVTs secured, and he's laid his multi-tracker and I have not. So I will lose the game if this model survives by the 1 or 2 victory points. And he rolls an 18 and saves against the Sepsiter. And then he takes the double action round, he makes one of the saves. He takes 1 wound. He's got symbiote armor, so it has 2 wounds, despite being like a 20-point model or something. So then he takes the combi rifle shot in the back from the Shrouded, who's over here, rolls a 7, and takes his 2nd wound going unconscious. So that's where the game ends. Very, very close, 4 to 3. Again, I would have had 5, but I failed to plant my multi-tracker, so I was down by 1 to 4. And I had 232 surviving. We didn't kill all that much. There's no baggage for me in this one. My opponent had 280. He had some baggage that helped that, but we really didn't kill that much in this mission. And it was really too bad we didn't get to play the 3rd turn, because as I said, we were both having a great time and the mission was in no way decided. And we would have played the 2nd turn very differently. My opponent would have played his 2nd turn very differently, right? He wouldn't have sacrificed all those guys until the 3rd turn, where he would have been able to move up and had a better position to move in. So not the most fulfilling of a win or of the last game in a tournament, but we did have fun. So thoughts, the 2 thoughts I'll leave you with is I swear Skiboros is good, despite the fact he did nothing in this game except fail to Sepsiter somebody. There were a couple of times my opponent was like, I don't want to go over there because I'll have to fight Skiboros. So he didn't move into a couple positions because he was scared of him. And, as always, keep mission focused. That game would have been much more decisive in my way had I gotten even only 1 more objective, which I could have done with the Umbra without too much trouble. So that's all I have for you on this tournament report. I hope everyone enjoys it. Please leave some comments if you'd like to see more or less or something different. And I'll talk to you then. Ciao.